Hey everybody, this is Dave with OC Astronomy. And I have two really important updates on what we're doing here at the school and the direction we're going to go. One of them has to do with the arrival of this box, and the other one has to do with some news about our mount. After a lot of discussions here at the school and a little bit of back and forth, we've decided to go ahead and upgrade our mount to a Paramount MyT. And this wasn't a decision taken lightly. I had a little bit of, not buyer's remorse, but just kind of reconsideration about whether spending $6,000 on a mount was good stewardship of our money. And we're a small Christian university here, and we don't have a lot of extra money. We're not a big state school with a lot of outside funding. We don't get a lot of national science grants, that sort of thing. So the decision we had to make was, we did spend quite a bit to get this mount. Should we keep going, now that I've worked out some of the kinks with it, should we keep going with using it, or should we make a move and get a more expensive mount? And I reached out to somebody that I made contact with on Cloudy Nights Forum, who was he's a well-known amateur astronomer, and the wind is kicking up here, sorry, it's getting noisy. He's a well-known amateur astronomer and a writer, and I'm not going to use his name or try to clickbait using his name, but we had a good discussion online about it, and he's also a Christian, and he kind of felt my pain a little bit as to whether or not spending this kind of money on a piece of equipment was justified. And he actually gave me some wise counsel on it, and then also talking to some of our faculty here, we came to the conclusion that in this case, spending more money to gain more reliability and to be able to use it better for the students and to have it up more than it's down was worth the higher price for the more expensive piece of equipment. And the justification, it may be, maybe I'm just trying to make myself feel better for buying something fancy, and maybe that's part of it, but I think also the performance gains that we expect to get out of the mount, and the more reliability of the mount plus software package, I think is what ultimately has made the decision for us. I actually can announce we've gone ahead and bought the MyT mount, and part of that, we've also got the SkyX professional software with the camera add-on, T-point, and the dome add-on, and so those things have kind of, I've been able to play with them a little bit on the software package, and I can definitely say that even so far, just using the software package that's all inclusive and all together is better. One of the differences is with the CGX and with other mounts trying to work with Windows, you have to use drivers that are written in ASCOM, and ASCOM is a great thing, and we've used it in the past quite a bit, but the one thing about ASCOM is some of the original drivers were written by volunteers. They're just people that are enthusiasts that have put it together, and they do work really well. And in Celestron's case, there's also been drivers developed by the company, and they work okay, but those ASCOM drivers have to plug into different types of programs, and they can't be specialized at all. They have to be very generic and give a very generic method of control of the telescope. And I've been using that with Maxim DL, and it's been working okay. But there have been times when they just poop out. The COM ports drop, little bugs creep in, and it just doesn't work together. And sometimes, like here with the new QHY camera that we're using for a guide camera, trying to get the guide camera to pulse guide as opposed to using the ST4 connection, pulse guiding was not working for us, and we had to sort it out, and it wound up being a problem with the ASCOM driver. And so those things crop up because it's not one comprehensive package. And I know SkyX Pro will have its detractors. There's always people on forums that say this is better or that's better. And yes, it is a little bit more costly, but in this case, since we're buying the MyT mount, the software package comes with it. And so it makes sense to get the best use out of it. I've been able to actually connect the CGX mount with the SkyX package and run our Nexdome with it, and it actually works great. Controlling the CGX and synchronizing the dome, I haven't had any issues at all. It's also worked great with our S-Big camera, and with we have a Rigel Instep focus controller and a Moonlight focuser motor, and those things have all plugged in seamlessly with the X2 drivers. And that's another thing. The people at Software Bisq have the ability with their X2 drivers to develop those in-house and get those to work right. And they've also worked with a number of manufacturers who have written those drivers. I also know in the case of Nexdome, they had a guy, a really smart guy, you can find him on Cloudy Nights, his name's Rudolphe, and Rudolphe is, he's brilliant, and he wrote the X2 driver for the Nexdome, and he's been able to actually to help me resolve a couple of problems with our installation. So I mean, there's people still in the community that are contributing, but there's also the ability with the SkyX to tie it all together in one package. And so far, I've found that one package has worked better than kind of kludging together different pieces of software to get it to work. So we're going to go ahead. The MyT is on order, and it'll be arriving, I think they said in 4 to 6 weeks, and we're about 3 weeks into that, so maybe just a week away. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to install a pier. I'll go ahead and step out here and show you what our dome looks like. You may have been able to see in the background before, but our dome is on the roof of the science building, and we have a wood deck that's tied into the rafters via these supports. And I know what you're saying, it'd be better if it was on the ground. It might be, but we also have behind us some athletic fields and trails, and those trail lights, they put in a bunch of street-like lights at ground level, and so being down at ground level, it would just have too many stray lights, and being up here on the roof at least gets us out of that. We're still in Oklahoma City, and we have the limitations of being in the city, but we're able to use narrowband filters and other means to fight that. The other thing is, we can't have a 2-ton bit of concrete in the ground. We've had to use this wood deck, and we can't have a roof penetration because it would cost way too much money. Man, it sure is windy today. But that, I'll step over here. That roof penetration would just be a potential source of leaks, and so our grounds folks said to not do that. There, that's a good picture of it in the background. So we have this wood deck. It is tied in well, and I can tell you it has worked pretty well. I've been using this dome for several years, and even with that on a tripod, we don't get very much vibration. Vibration and stuff is not the reason why I'm having to throw out any frames. So it has been working for us, and what we're going to do with the MyT is we are going to get a nice, a sturdy pier, and a good solid steel pier that we can bolt to the wood. And I have some additional plywood decking inside the dome that serves as a floor. And I'm trusting that on that deck and with the floor, we may still get a little bit of vibration, and it's not completely foolproof. But in our case, I think it's going to work for us, at least to our satisfaction. So we're going to go ahead and install the pier in the dome and put a MyT on it. And so the last piece of the puzzle is what's in that box. So let's go have a look out here at what's in the box. That's always exciting. Don't consider this an unboxing video. I know some of you guys hate unboxing videos, but the fact is it's in a box. All right, so what we have here is the Nexdome shutter kit. I've mentioned before, if you've seen earlier videos about the wind in Oklahoma, you can tell it's very windy today. So the shutter kit is going to add some weight to the shutter and hopefully keep it sturdy. The wind's even blown my ladder over. So proof, right? It is kind of windy. Another thing that is going to help is it has this track that engages with the motor, and the track runs all along the inside lip, and the motor has a gear on it that's going to lock into that. So it should be pretty hard to blow that piece through that track and disengage the motor. Another way that it's going to help prevent that is we got these. Oh, okay. These are some very slippery Teflon, it feels like, or plastic. It does feel like Teflon. Some tracks, and it has these little pieces here that are going to engage with the wheels up on top. There are 4 wheels. There are 4 wheels up on top that that essentially hold the roof on in 4 corners, if you can imagine. There's those 4 wheels, and that's the only thing that holds the middle piece of the roof on. And so when the wind comes in and disengages, if it's able to lift up one corner, it can then rip the whole thing out. So what these will do is these 2 tracks will go in between the wheels, and you'll have a track then on each side of the shutter, and it'll clamp it down between the wheels, and you'll have a track that'll engage that entire section. And so having a track on both sides now will keep the top piece on, and then having the weight of the motor and the motor being engaged into the track will keep the bottom piece on. And so I'm hoping that those together will do 2 things. It'll keep the roof from blowing off, and then also it'll give us the ability with the SkyX and the Dome add-on to mechanize the shutter. Mechanizing the shutter will then let me get some sleep at night, because I can start the thing going, and then after if it's running, I can have my cloud monitor for clouds, and if it gets cloudy at all, it'll just close the shutter, and then everything else can just go on, or I can write a script to have it pause the imaging session if the shutter's closed. But doing that will protect the equipment, and then in the morning whenever I get up, I can see what's going on, and if the shutter's closed, I can just park everything and turn it off. But having that shutter there automatically close in the event of clouds will be a great safety feature, and it'll allow me to get some shut-eye. And that brings me back around to the decision. I go inside the dome here to get out of the wind. The decision to make these upgrades is also about me and family time, because if we're able to automate things, then the observing that I do outside of teaching, I can do that by just turning things on, letting them go on a script, and then hopefully being able to trust it with the reliability, and then turn it off if things go south. And then in the morning I can get up and diagnose what's going on and look at the logs that'll be generated with those scripts, and then I'll tell what happened during the night, and I can look at my images and hopefully continue to do some exoplanet research. That's what the main goal is. Along with that exoplanet research, I'll be able to point reliably now at faint targets that are just star fields that are really hard to tell. Use plate solving or the SkyX image link to find that target reliably, and then track it all night and be able to script a safe closing of the shutter if clouds come up and I have to close the dome. So we're really excited about going full robotic. We're really excited to get this shutter kit from Nexdome and the purchasing the MyT mount. And so we're hoping that you can look for great new things coming from OC Astronomy. So I hope everybody else out there is able to get some clear skies, and we'll talk to you later.